rarely is a YouTube video title as accurate as this one by Escape from Tarkov creator Goat. For those that have seen this insanely viral gaming video, please go check it out. Even if you aren't a fan of Escape from Tarkov, it is extremely well made and is really informative about the prevalence of cheating in video games and the communities it impacts. To put the video short, Escape from Tarkov is absolutely riddled with cheaters, like depressingly so, which for longtime players isn't necessarily unexpected, but I think the sheer volume and prevalence of cheating in-game was surprising to many people, myself included. As a result, it has indeed killed Tarkov for me, and I have uninstalled it until meaningful steps can be made to combat these cheaters. While cheating is unfortunately prevalent in pretty much every online game, it's especially disappointing to deal with in Tarkov because it has such an extremely punishing and high-risk gameplay loop. So I thought it'd be helpful to explore some Tarkov alternatives as a relatively casual gamer who loves the concept of the extraction shooter genre. And of course, if you enjoy the video or find it informative, make sure to like and subscribe, as less than 2% of my viewers are actually subscribed. So if you want to be part of the 1%, hit that subscribe button for more incredible content. So there's a lot of good games like Tarkov, and we're going to explore those shortly. Unfortunately, there's nothing else that quite hits all of the same beats, as Tarkov just blends so many genres together. And when we think of an alternative, a few key elements come to mind for me. High risk, high reward survival gameplay is a must, where gunfights and engagements can get your adrenaline up and your heart pumping. An in-depth looting and inventory system tied to progression elements is a bonus, and the ability for a dynamic narrative to emerge based on your experiences within a raid are pretty critical as well. While the following titles may not have all of these elements together, I do think they capture enough of the spirit and intent of Tarkov to be great alternatives. Let's start with the best and my favorite alternative to Tarkov, Hunt Showdown. While extremely different in tone and setting from Tarkov, something about Hunt just captures the intensity and addictive nature of the gameplay loop for me like almost nothing else quite does. It helps that Hunt Showdown is significantly less hardcore and punishing than Tarkov, and while death is pretty common, you'll not waste tens of minutes of your life in between matches healing, buying new equipment, sorting through inventory. No, you just simply grab a few pieces of gear, get your new hunter ready to go, and jump back into the hunt. Hunt features some very unique gameplay mechanics featuring late 19th century weaponry and gear that makes gunfights intense and incredibly fun, as shots need to be taken carefully and ammo is a lot more scarce, especially when compared to my spray and pray strategy I use in other modern shooters. The atmosphere and tone of the haunting Louisiana bayou as you hunt nightmarish creatures just simply cannot be matched by any other game. And it genuinely features the best audio and sound design of any game I've ever played. Seriously, even if the setting doesn't entirely interest you, I highly recommend checking out this beautiful masterpiece of an FPS game. Marauders, aka Starkov, is another compelling alternative that more so than Hunt copies pretty much to a T the gameplay loop of Escape from Tarkov in a unique diesel punk futuristic setting. You drop in, grab loot, and try to survive and escape. It's pretty straightforward, and while it's still early access and a bit bare bones, the updates for Marauders have been consistent and have improved the gameplay loop in multiple ways already. Marauders definitely has a lot of potential, as it features not only intense and fun gunfights and looting, but also space combat and boardings. You can check out my full review of Marauders here, and it's only improved since then. So if you want to check out this unique FPS, I recommend clicking the link in the description below. It takes you to 2game.com, who is almost always running a sale of Marauders. Make sure to use code PUNGLES for an additional 5% off. So grab your spacesuit, load into a tin can of a spaceship that barely runs, and become the marauding space pirate your parents always thought you could be. Another FPS that pretty much takes every page out of Tarkov's book, but in a sci-fi setting again, is the Cycle Frontier. While Cycle definitely had its fair share of cheater problems early on, and that's why I kind of bounced off of it, especially being a free-to-play title that of course became more prevalent, it's actually come a long way in reducing the number of cheaters, and also helping you with the punishment of death to one. Meaning if you die to a known cheater who's later banned, you'll actually receive a package of the loot you lost to them, which is one of the cooler ways to help combat this cheating epidemic. In a world where we can't eliminate them completely, this is a really nice quality of life feature. The cycle can be very engaging and atmospheric as well, and features a lot of polish in some areas. However, it's not necessarily my favorite of the bunch, with the difference in time to kill based on your gear being really severe. High level or geared players have a pretty extreme advantage in the cycle, and especially as a casual solo player, I found the game extremely difficult. However, it does scratch many of the same itches as Tarkov, and it's free, so I think it's worth checking out. Possibly one of the most interesting Tarkov likes, and honestly games coming to the market, is Dark and Darker. Despite having one of the worst game names ever, this fantasy take on the Tarkov gameplay loop with swords, shields, and magic, in place of tactical modern weaponry, is one of the most unique games I've played in quite a while. While it's not technically out yet, the playtests, as rough as they are, have been extremely promising, and it probably has the most potential of almost any game I've ever played in early access or a playtest or whatever. A simple loot, survive, and escape gameplay loop within a dungeon full of monsters and with a fantasy skin and other players is just such a simple yet addicting and compelling gameplay concept that I'm kind of shocked it hasn't been created until now. It's almost like a roguelike featuring character progression and some extremely low downtime, as you can just jump right into another raid if you die. Definitely one to keep an eye out for, as just one more round has never been more true for any game more than this one for me. And as rough as the melee and range combat is, it still has this unique charm that is really compelling to me. Arena Breakout is apparently Tarkov, but mobile, and while I personally haven't tried it, I've seen many others recommending it. I just cannot for the life of me get into mobile gaming at all. But if you don't mind FPS controls on a phone, it might be worth checking out Arena Breakout with how similar it is to the Tarkov gameplay loop. I know it has some things like in-depth weapon customization and progression loops and looting. Definitely has potential if I could actually stand playing an FPS on my phone, but if you don't mind, maybe you check it out. Now for two recommendations that, while pretty far removed from the extraction shooter gameplay loop Tarkov is known for, it's still for some reason these capture the intensity and realism of the gunfights and present some extremely fun experiences in their own rights. The first is Hell Let Loose. While this World War II multiplayer shooter has almost nothing in common with Tarkov, other than being a hardcore FPS, Hell Let Loose still gives players plenty of agency on how and where they can take engagements, and features some pretty hardcore shooting mechanics where one bullet can mean a quick death. Hell Let Loose is of course substantially less punishing, and can even be more rewarding as the game doesn't actively waste your time like Tarkov can in many ways. Insurgency Sandstorm is the other one that also captures the intensity and satisfaction of winning a gunfight in Tarkov in a much more relaxed and less hardcore gameplay loop. While I primarily play PvP modes in Insurgency, it also features some really fun co-op PvE focused modes that sees you and other players fighting hordes of NPCs, and these can actually be a lot of fun. If you still want to play with realistic military gear and customize your weaponry, but looking for a much more casual and relaxed experience, but with some intensity, I highly recommend checking out Insurgency Sandstorm. I absolutely love that game. And by the way, both Insurgency and Hell Let Loose are on sale at 2game.com, so again, check the link below and use code PUNGLES. While the multiplayer and player versus player aspects of Escape from Tarkov definitely define— is that redundant? Definitely define? Regardless, it defines the primary gameplay loop. There's still single player experiences that can capture many of the same elements and present extremely immersive and fun gameplay on their own. Zero Subvert, I think is how you say it, is a new one that's basically 2D overhead view Tarkov and is apparently extremely fun. I actually haven't played this one myself, but it's definitely on my list, and even in early access, it's getting very positive reviews on Steam. If you're drawn to the setting and atmosphere of Tarkov, I recommend you check out Stalker Anomaly. Although it's a bit older and rougher looking than Tarkov, it also has an extremely similar aesthetic with in-depth looting and very hardcore survival systems. I personally need to get some more time into this one myself, but what I've played of this standalone mod experience has been very engaging and intense, and I think hits a lot of those same beats as Escape from Tarkov, with of course being single player and having no cheaters. As we look at the market, Escape from Tarkov definitely enjoyed a few years of being a market leader and innovator within the FPS genre with its unique extraction gameplay, but clearly the market is catching up with some amazing alternatives. Even AAA mainstream games like Call of Duty are taking a shot at it with DMZ. While I'm hopeful that competition will force the Tarkov devs to more seriously tackle and fix their cheating issues, as I'm still drawn to that game for some reason, I'm also extremely excited to see what other games rise adopting the gameplay mechanics and features introduced in the extraction genre. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if there are other Tarkov alternatives I missed or that you found that you've enjoyed. That's it from me. Until next time.